Today, we're going to break down a really fascinating system that promises to be a total game changer for anyone selling high-value services. It's called the 5-page GDoc system, and it's basically a blueprint for closing big deals without ever having to get on a sales call. A simple document that can land a 5-figure deal? All right, let's see how this thing is supposed to work.
I mean, that's a pretty bold claim, right? The idea of selling offers worth $2, $5, or even $10,000, all through a simple document you send over email or chat, is that even really possible? Well, that's the big question we're going to dig into right now.
So here's the game plan. We'll start with the big problem the system is trying to solve. Then we'll dive into the alternative, the GDoc itself. We'll peek inside to see how it's structured, uncover the one thing that's absolutely essential to make it work, and then we'll wrap it all up with the main takeaway on this whole doc-based selling thing.
Okay, so first things first, let's set the stage. Why would anyone even need a system like this? Well, it all comes down to the classic challenge of selling anything with a high price tag.
For as long as anyone can remember, the go-to method for selling premium coaching or consulting has been the one-on-one sales call. But let's be real, they can be a massive drain. They eat up so much time, for you and your potential client, and they usually come with that awkward, high-pressure feeling to make a decision now.
And that is exactly the pain point this whole system is built to fix. It offers a totally different way of doing things, one that swaps out that live sales call for something way more flexible.
So instead of a live conversation, this system uses a super carefully crafted document. It's designed to walk a potential client through that whole journey, from just being interested to actually being ready to invest. And they can do it all on their own time. This is a really fundamental shift. You know, a traditional call is synchronous. It's happening live, in real time. You got to schedule it, and there's that pressure. The GDoc, on the other hand, is asynchronous. The client can read it whenever they want, think about it, and make a decision without feeling like they're on the spot. It's a huge difference.
So, what's the secret sauce here? What makes this document so persuasive? Well, it's not just a sales page. It's a very deliberate, carefully designed journey. Let's take a look inside.
The whole system is built around this one number, 5. 5 pages, and each one has a very specific job to do in guiding that reader from being curious to being a customer.
The persuasion flows logically through these 5 steps. First, the doc has to connect with the client's problem on a deep level. Then, it paints this vivid picture of the ideal solution. From there, it breaks down your specific offer, backs everything up with proof, and finally, gives a super clear, direct path to buy. It's the entire sales conversation just in a document.
And for this to actually work, the document can't just be a list of facts. It has to hit on an emotional level. It's all about building deep trust in you, creating some authentic urgency around solving their problem now, and getting them genuinely excited about the transformation you're offering.
Okay, this is where we get to probably the most important part of this whole thing, because you can't just send this document to a total stranger and expect it to work. Nope, there is a critical foundation that has to be there first.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Can you just write a great GDoc, fire it off to people, and expect to close $10,000 clients? The answer is a hard no.
And there it is, a direct quote from the source material that spells it out perfectly. The document isn't the magic trick. It's actually the final piece of a much bigger puzzle. Its success completely depends on the content and the brand you've already built.
The source even gives this foundation a name, ETM, which stands for Engineer the Moment. And this isn't just about having a few posts online. It's about a very intentional content strategy that has already proven your expertise and built trust with your audience long before they ever see this GDoc.
This really gets to the core of the biggest misunderstanding. A lot of people might think the document itself is doing all the work. But the reality is, the document is just the closing tool. Your content, your brand, your reputation, that's what does all the heavy lifting to get them ready to buy.
Okay, so let's pull all these pieces together. What's the one big, clear takeaway from this whole system?
So, the most crucial point is that this system isn't really just about a document. It's a 2-part formula. You need a powerful, persuasive offer, yes, but it has to be combined with a brand that has already earned that prospect's trust. One without the other just doesn't work.
Think of it like 2 pillars holding everything up. Your brand and your content are doing all the pre-selling work. They're building awareness, they're building trust over time. Then, and only then, the GDoc comes in to do its job, which is to structure the final offer and make it incredibly easy for a warm, trusting lead to say yes.
And that leaves us with one final thought.
Even if you're not selling high-ticket coaching, think about your own business. What repetitive conversations are you having all the time? What sales pitch, or onboarding process, or common Q&A could you transform from a time-sucking call into a clear, effective document that works for you 24/7?